they just hear you. All right, we can either leave or we can just give you 3 hours of LeBron talk.
I've got 3 different apps, by the way, that have notified me of this.
Yeah, I was driving. Well, because it's, I mean, in the grand, I find this really funny, actually, on a lot of different levels. But, and I'll explain one of them in a second. But you talk about putting together a rundown and it being shot to death on the opening segment. We're going to talk a lot of football today. We got a great guest list coming up, too. But we're going to do LeBron here for a second. Yeah, I'm like you. I'm coming in and my phone just explodes. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, it goes off to the point that I'm like, you know, like we have, like, really attacked Iran, or something has really happened in the sporting where you're like, whatever is happening, something is happening. It's almost like, should I pull over and like make sure I'm in a safe area?
Do I need to look up? Is everything all right?
Did they find an asteroid or meteorite coming at it? Oh boy. And I hit a red light and was able to look and say, okay, all right, 39 notifications, got it. LeBron's going to Philly. The loser in all this, this is funny to me, but I feel bad. I kind of feel bad for him because I don't think this is where he wanted to go, is Jaylen Brown. You go from essentially being like, especially last year where they were missing Tatum for a while.
Yeah.
And Brown's the finals MVP, and you go from being like the dude, and now Philly's got Tyrese Maxey. They've got LeBron, VJ Edgecomb's coming along. They got Embiid.
Yeah.
I mean,
now you just become LeBron's teammate.
Right.
Essentially. Well, it's like, hey, if you got a really good shot at winning a championship, so you can cry all the way to millions of dollars and potentially the Larry O'Brien trophy at the end of the year. But yeah, like if Jaylen Brown wanted to be the dude in Philly, well, that's out the window.
Oh, yeah. He went from averaging 28 to like 12 in a heartbeat. So, all right, there's your kind of news of the day. That's our LeBron talk.
Dawn Staley's excited.
I bet.
I don't know.
Actually, I didn't see that. I bet she is.
Oh, we played the clip at the end of the last hour, but she's at some kind of recruiting thing, and she dropped a video of her natural reaction to hearing this news, which, again, as you would expect, is very excited.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I didn't even know it took. I thought it was literally 30 minutes ago. But anyway, all right. So LeBron James, that is all over, and we'll move on from that. Okay, don't do any cuts. Got it. Thank goodness we're done with LeBron for the day. Did y'all discuss this in the previous show?
We did, yeah. It was about 11:30 is when it dropped, and again, and getting all the notifications, I'm like, hey, just in case you want to know, LeBron's going to the 76ers. Now, because again, we all make fun of LeBron for the decision, right? And all the pomp and circumstance that was. I did expect something more than like some tweets. Like I expected, I don't know what I expected, I guess, but something more than that. By the way, we have the media poll that is just coming to my inbox as well.
All right. So we'll get to that. We actually have a lot of football we're going to get to. I have zero interest in sitting here like Stephen A. Smith and yelling. Speaking of which, he's actually yelling about how important is a fast start for Arch Manning.
Well, so this is on ESPN too, so they replay First Take after it airs live.
Gotcha.
So he's probably on. I think he does his radio show in the afternoon, so he's probably spending all day talking about LeBron now.
All right, looking it up. He's on one of the twos. Anyway, we've got a lot of football to get to. Tyler is officially back in studio. SEC Media Day, which I know most of y'all, 92% of y'all, care far more about than what LeBron just decided to do. And as Tyler just said, we now have the preseason projections from the media folks. Let's do this.
Okay.
803-404-6100. Over or under? Below or above? Under 8.5 or above 8.5? Where do you might have already seen it, but where did South Carolina come in the preseason 16-team ballot? 8.5. Over or under? Just send in your number. You don't have to, if you want to send in an explanation, love to have it. but over under 8.5. We'll read. We'll get this. We'll read next to in the next segment what exactly where they are. But send it in. 803-404-6100 is how you can do so. Over under 8.5. Did South Carolina get voted into the top half of the SEC, or did they get voted out of the top half of the SEC going into 2026? What do you got? Over, under. Not what you think, but what do you think they were voted, not where do you think they should have been voted. Send that in. We'll get to that. Tyler's looking. I have not seen it, and I will ask to not hear about it so that you can get my reaction when we come back. You are back from Media Days. Who won?
Yes.
Who won Media Days, in your opinion?
Oh, man. I said this at the end of last hour. We got, I feel like, more good quotes this year than maybe we've had in the past couple of years. From an energy standpoint, I thought John Summerall really brought it. Now, again, still got to go out there and win on the field, but he definitely made it known and obvious that he is not Billy Napier, and there's a difference in change and energy around that building, and we'll see if that translates onto the field. The Lane Kiffin thing was so weird yesterday. I don't know if you consider that a win or a loss. Again, he did his best to try and skirt the tough questions that he knew he was going to be asked in the main room. I don't know. I was telling you, I felt very bad for Jeff Lebby because I was listening to his presser yesterday and it got to the point like halfway through, because they get basically 25 minutes and he only did like a 4 to 5 minute opening statement. So after about 7 or 8 minutes of questions, the moderator's like, anybody else?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to ask Coach Lebby a question? And like, it felt kind of awkward. Obviously, Kirby Smart came in and Georgia did what they did, and they're going to be, as you'll see in a minute, thought of very highly going into this year. I didn't get to see a ton of the Texas stuff because I was driving yesterday, but it sounded like, what Sark said was fine and nothing too outlandish. And I saw some of the quotes from Arch Manning, too, where he's like, hey, I felt like I learned a lot last year and, going to be better this year. So kind of straightforward for the most part when it comes to the teams that we believe are the top contenders in the league.
Yeah, it was pretty mundane for Texas yesterday. Now that you're back, your overall thoughts, not asking who won or lost, but just how Tampa handled it compared to what you've seen from Atlanta. I think that's the only place you've been. No, you went to Dallas. You didn't go to Dallas.
I just went to Atlanta last year. Like, the only issue is that, like, Tampa's so far out of the way, right? Like, outside of Florida and Gainesville, everybody else is coming from 5, 6, 7 hours away, having to fly in and all that kind of stuff. So the location itself, probably not the most ideal because it's not centralized to a lot of teams, but I thought the hotel, just the city in general, was kind of perfect for it. And being there last year at the College Football Hall of Fame, which is cool, and like I love the College Football Hall of Fame, and it's in my backyard there in Atlanta, but I thought being set up in the hotel with the ballroom and all that kind of stuff was kind of more fitting for what a media days is supposed to be.
Okay.
And I just thought it kind of fit the vibe a little bit better. Obviously, we got a chance to talk to a lot of great people. I'll tell you, I saw Nick Saban in the bathroom for the second day in a row yesterday. Okay. That's becoming a thing, apparently.
You guys had a meeting place.
Apparently so. This time it was more of like I was going out, he's coming in, held the door for me. Again, small talk, that was it. But I'm like, 2 days in a row, the Sabaninator in the bathroom. What are the odds?
Okay, so that occurred as well. 803-404-6100. So coming up today, busy show. Coming up at 12:30, since we didn't catch up with him on Monday, we'll catch up with Jamie Bradford today. We'll get his, talk to him for a segment and get his thoughts on South Carolina Media Days from the week. We'll speak about South Carolina coming up next and kind of wrap their week up, what we thought, how they did, any quotes or comments that they made, improvements that they're saying for 2026. We'll talk about that. And then Jamie Bradford at 12:30. 1:30 today, Brad Crawford will give us his overview of SEC Media Day. CBS Sports writer Brad Crawford. And then coming up at 2:15, we'll actually change topics, and we'll go to the ACC preview. Brian Edwards, now I'll give a spoiler a little bit, not crazy about any of the season win-loss records, but we'll talk with him and get his take on the ACC as well. Along the way, we'll talk a lot about Media Day and recap it. Also, yesterday, I shouldn't laugh. Should I laugh? Should we laugh? Diego Pavia doesn't even make it to camp.
I mean, are you surprised?
Yes.
You are.
that he didn't make it to camp.
Okay.
Or didn't make it to camp.
Okay.
Now, once he got to camp, I thought that they'd be like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's plenty from you. But yeah, what did they learn? I mean, well, you could learn a lot about Diego Pavia, I guess, if you have some kind of private investigator following him around. But what did they discover, or what did they learn from the time they thought it would be neat to sign him to the time they decided to cut it? For like, did they send somebody to his house and like, oh, you're actually only about 5'9"? Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Did they have someone follow them around like, we're not sure we want your type in our training camp? Like, did they discover something that they were like, yeah, let's not even worry about you coming?
Yeah, we'll see. Fortunately for him, there are options. There's Canada. There's spring leagues. I don't know. Barstool can probably get him on a podcast or something like that.
I think his best bet's just to go into media. And
Probably. He's got the personality for it.
Yeah. We'll talk about that this afternoon as well. And last night, oh, thank goodness we've got this out of the way. South Carolina, I guess, Nike as well, revealed their jerseys. And we'll talk about that coming up at the end of the hour. 803-404-6100. When we come back, the preseason media prognostications are out after this week. We'll tell you all about them. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Old Tommy Meat Market, where you can pretty much guarantee you'll see me later this afternoon getting ready for the weekend. Now, it is supposed to storm a little bit, but you know what? You don't always have to grill out. You can actually get some delicious food from Old Tommy Meat Market, cook it in the stove or on the stove top. Whatever it is you're looking for, Old Tommy Meat Market has it. And I'm also going to tell you this. They got a great line of seasonings. So when you go in there, if you're looking for a great steak or some chicken and you don't want to get the ones that they've got marinated already, you can check out their great line of seasonings and do it yourself. They got frozen vegetables, and if you're paying attention to the news, frozen vegetables right now are kind of the way to be going. But they've got frozen vegetables. They got soups. They got everything that you need. So stop by one of their 3 locations. St. Andrews Road in Irmo, South Congaree, of course, again, the Lexington store. And find out why I enjoy going there, because of the way they treat you like an individual, a human, getting to know you. That's Old Tommy Meat Market. Stop by one of their 3 locations today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 803-404-6100 is how you can weigh in. We'll talk about some Shane Beamer and the Gamecocks here in just a second. But Tyler, the poll results are in. The media has made their projections.
We as Americans have the opportunity to vote every year in the most important election there is, that being the SEC media poll.
You mean we as media members?
Or me as media members, yes. Not all Americans. Only those coveted enough to get the email from Chuck Dunlap every single year to vote in the media poll.
I didn't vote this year. I got the email. I didn't vote. All right. Actually, I think in like 10 years of doing it, I've only voted once. Kind of a pain in the rear end, quite honestly, because it like the picking of the teams is the easy part, and then you go in and there's like, who do you want as first team, like, right guard?
Yeah. Well, you have to, for offensive line and defensive line, you have to select, like, 12 ones. It's like, okay, I got a pretty good idea about the top of the stack here, but, like, who do I think's the 11th best offensive lineman in the SEC? Like, all right, now we're getting a little far into this.
Yeah, I think I did it once and was like, that's too much work.
Well, you can also, and again, there's hundreds of people that vote in this, so your one vote only goes so far, I guess. You can also be the person that just goes silly with it and like, all right, you know what? Arkansas is going to be my first place team. What the heck? Why not? Arkansas is not first, by the way. Spoiler alert.
Speaking of, real quick, is there any stupid, like Vanderbilt gets a first place vote, or Arkansas gets a first place vote, or South Carolina gets a first place vote? Is there anything stupid from a media member that did that?
Yeah. Kentucky got one first place vote.
Kentucky got a first place vote.
Kentucky got a first place vote. There are 8 teams that got a first place vote. Kentucky got one.
Okay.
Maybe somebody was really moved by Will Steins that we're going to win because of me the other day.
Okay. All right. One dumb vote. That's we're getting better. We're weeding these people out. All right. Give me the top 4. Now, we've asked the question.
Okay.
Do you think South Carolina's in the top half or the bottom half of the SEC? Most of y'all going with bottom half. Give me the top 4 in order.
Georgia.
Okay.
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss. Texas A&M. Georgia receiving 88 first-place votes. Texas receiving 57. Ole Miss all the way down at 6. So pretty overwhelming thought that either Georgia or Texas will win the league this year.
Ole Miss at 3?
3. Yes.
Okay. Okay, we'll come back to that. 5, 6, 7, 8 in order.
5 is LSU.
Okay.
6 is Alabama. 7 is Oklahoma. 8 is Tennessee.
Oh, those Alabama people must be really happy about that.
I do wonder when this is the first time Alabama's finished outside the top 5 in this kind of voting. I don't know, in what, 25 years?
Only 3 first-place votes for Alabama, by the way.
Yeah, SEC champion.
Georgia.
So you go through the votes.
Oh, yeah. So Georgia gets 88, Texas with 57, Ole Miss at 6, A&M at 5, Bama at 3, LSU and Oklahoma at 2, and then Kentucky at 1.
So Georgia, not the overwhelming favorite, but it's Georgia and Texas. And again, so the top eight, Georgia, Texas, and as I now look at it, they're separated by, that's going to be 51, throw on another 19, so 60 is separated by 70 votes. 70 votes. So relatively close for Georgia and Texas.
Yeah, pretty
relatively close. Now, because after that, Texas to Mississippi at 2-3 is 445 votes. So you see the difference there.
Yep.
And then it also a little bit of a disparity. Not too much of a disparity.
Because there's like you get a point total. If you get voted first, you get 16 points and on down. So, yeah, the higher you are in everybody's polls, the more points you get, and that's how they come up with this number.
And technically, points-wise, if you get points-wise, 100 points separates Ole Miss at 3, A&M at 4, LSU at 5, Alabama at 6, and Oklahoma at 7. So a lot that you can see how close the middle of the pack is to what people think. I need to speak on Oklahoma later. I used them last night in a game against Austin on College Football 27 and lost to him being Tennessee. Tennessee, by the way, at 8. Surprised by that?
A little bit. I'm kind of down on Tennessee this year.
Okay.
I'm the lack of experience at quarterback. Now, again, they got A good running game with Bishop, the running back, coming back for another year. They got some pieces returning on defense. I don't know about the quarterback situation, though quarterbacks tend to thrive in the Heupel system, so we'll see. But they're a team that as I was picking my media poll, I was like, man, I haven't picked Tennessee yet, so they ended up a little bit lower for me than 8.
Okay. All right. So top 8, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, A&M, LSU, Bama, Oklahoma, Tennessee.
Yep.
9 through 12.
9 is Florida.
Okay.
10 is Missouri. 11 is South Carolina. 12 is Auburn. 13th is Vanderbilt. 14th is Kentucky. 15th is Mississippi State. And 16th, to probably no one's surprise, is Arkansas.
Here's the thing about this. Florida, according to the way everybody voted, has 1,217 points. South Carolina has 956. There's a bit of a disparity there when you talk about 9, 10, and 11. Missouri, as a matter of fact, has 1,000. This is off point system. You missed how they vote. Missouri has 1,105 points. The Gamecocks have 956. So there is a disparity between Florida and Missouri and then South Carolina, despite the fact that South Carolina has the returning quarterback. Maybe. I know Colin Simmons is really good, but if Dylan Stewart's healthy, maybe the best defensive player in the league. I'm telling you, we love Nick Harbor here. Everybody else on the outside's like he runs really fast on a video game. But there's question. But there is a massive disparity there when you understand how this voting works and tells you what everybody else is viewing of South Carolina, what other media members are viewing of South Carolina.
Yeah. For personal reference, I voted him 8th. I had Carolina 8th, which, you kind of look at it. That's somewhere around 8-ish wins, which I think is something this team's capable of. But again, I'm not surprised that the collection of media ended up voting them as low as they did.
13 through 16.
13 is, again, Vandy, Kentucky, Mississippi State, and then Arkansas dead last by a wide margin. They only got 262 total votes, which, I don't know, that's probably close to how many people voted in this thing. So I feel like they were pretty consistently voted last.
So just to kind of break it down for a second, Jamie Bradford due up here in a few minutes. Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Kentucky all on the schedule. According to the media poll, South Carolina would get 3 of the bottom 3 of the 16.
Yes.
Have to chalk that up to victory. We'll continue talking about this, get to some Shane Beamer comments. But coming up next, Jamie Bradford joins us, get his thoughts on what he heard, saw, and feels about SEC Media Day and the Gamecocks. It's the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing. Rainy today. Yeah, got a leak. Didn't think about it until just now. Now you're thinking about your roof. Is it ready to hold up against some of the rain coming in this week? It's supposed to be kind of nasty, I believe. Well, is your roof ready to hold up? If not, better call Mid-State Roofing right now. Right now, at this moment, 803-356-1919. Don't let yourself this weekend find a leak in the roof. Financially, I'm not sure you're ready to handle that. B, I'm not sure you're ready to handle the stress of dealing with it. So don't wait another day. Call Mid-State Roofing, 803-356-1919. 1919. It's 803-356-1919. Now, say you want to wait till the last minute, and then you got a leak. Well, guess what? Mid-State Roofing is there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're ready to take your phone call. Doesn't matter if it's midnight or 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. They're there for you. That's how great the customer service is. Mid-State Roofing, 803-356-1919. It is Friday, July the 24th. Just think, next Friday we will be wrapping up the month of July. That will be it. And then we'll be into August. And then we'll be 1 week away from some form of football with the Hall of Fame game, the Panthers and the Cardinals. And then we'll be into preseason practice, and then we'll be into games. It'll be here before you know it. But just a few minutes ago, or probably about 30 minutes ago, the news of the day. No, not some dude named LeBron going to Philadelphia. The SEC Media Day polls came out, and Jamie Bradford, South Carolina, picked 11th. But let's get your overall take on the Gamecocks Media Day on Tuesday, listening to Lenore Sellers, to Nick Harbor, to Peyton Williams, to Shane Beamer. And by the way, welcome him. Hope you're doing well on this Friday. Your take on the Gamecocks aspect of SEC Media Day.
Yeah, I think that glad to be back. I think that they have kind of taken the approach of, look, nobody's really going to give us a lot of credit or believe in us, so let's just go there and handle business and then come back home and get to work. There was nothing, both those guys said some things. Some of the players, I know Lenore's mentioned DJ Black is a name we've been hearing for months around here that could be really good, and talked about his connection with Harbor, and Harbor, those guys mentioned some things with their own teammates. But from the standpoint of notoriety and what does everybody think about you, I think they pretty much know what to expect from that angle, at least as it pertained to this event. And they went there with that expectation. They came home, and now they're ready to report here in the next couple of weeks.
Surprising to you at all that Carolina comes in 11th in the media poll, that about where you thought most people would have them?
Yeah, I looked at it and thought, okay, well, who are they not going to be picked over? They're not going to be picked over Georgia, Oklahoma, Texas, Ole Miss, LSU, A&M, Tennessee, Alabama. And then so that leaves the other half of the league. So I thought the highest they would get to would probably be like 9th, They come in at 11th. But guess what? Last year when the media picked the league, they got one of 16 schools right. And all 15 of the other ones they got wrong, and that's generally how it works. So Carolina they're prepared for this, and they'll be fine. I was more shocked that, I don't know how many votes come in now as it pertains to the media. This thing changes every year. I get Harbor, I get Sellers. I mean, nobody thought to take a look at Bakari Swain. That's. I understand it, but not on the top three, and not in the top three teams, to me is rather interesting.
It's really weird. It's really it's not weird, but it is interesting because I was watching, and I don't know if you did the same, Jamie, on Tuesday, and watching the SEC media guys, the guys that sit there in the studio and then on the desk, and they did speak highly of South Carolina. They did talk about South Carolina and act as if, hey, here's what this team is capable of. But you could also tell there is no certainty as to what that's going to be. And the key word here is consistency. And we've talked about that this week, in particular for this team. You go 7-6, in which I think 7-6 in Beamer's first year was a great year given the circumstances. 5-7 was not. 9-3 was phenomenal. 4-8 was not. Inconsistent. So it is. I think it is a guessing game where people look at South Carolina and go, "That's a pretty talented team," but we don't know what we're going to get, and they're playing 4 playoff teams.
Well, Shane Beamer has said something before. Look, if you return a quarterback who had a really good year, and you had a really good year, you're going to be picked pretty high, generally speaking. But that's the case more times than not. Vanderbilt this year, where'd they have Vandy? I know somewhere at the bottom of the league, right? So Vanderbilt it's different for them this go. They've got him back at 13th. Right. Well, they don't return Diego Pavia. Had Diego Pavia been back, then Vanderbilt's probably, I would venture a guess, probably somewhere in the top 6 or 7 in this thing. But, and I think Shane's right with that. Look, South Carolina returns Lenore Sellers. We all think he's a pretty good quarterback, but he didn't play like it last year. And so all the casual media guys Carolina was bad, Sellers wasn't better. You're going to have to prove it. I'm not giving you any credit. You're right about. I'm a big fan of the guys at the SEC Network. I believe for a long time all those guys really, truly do their homework. You look at Brett Ciancia, who we talked to this week, Phil Steele. These guys, they do their homework, and all of them make the same point over and over. It is more difficult than ever to predict these things because of the transfer portal. I mean, you don't know who's on anybody's roster, and you don't know how they're going to play. So, these polls really mean as little now, I think, as they've ever meant before.
Did your opinion of any team change positively or negatively based on what you heard from their coaches and players this week?
No, I don't think so. That's a really good question. I don't think so. I think I might give Florida a little bit more credit because Florida's never. They're never without talent. They always have talent. It's just whether they play well or not and whether they're coached well or not. I think that John Summerall is a pretty good football coach, and I think that week 3 they go to Auburn, and that'll be a really interesting game. Can they win a blue-collar road game like that and get off to a 3-0 start? So that was certainly something that caught my attention, but I kind of think Lane Kiffin is, LSU I think is going to have a good year, and I enjoyed listening to Lane this week, but I think he's kind of trying to set people up for the fact that, hey, we might have a really good year and be 9-3, and that's probably not going to be good enough for some of y'all, but you need to understand that this is a starting point, not the finishing point. That was kind of my takeaway from him. And I don't know what to think about Ole Miss. I think there's a lot of people gushing over what's going on over there, and I think it's going to either hit the mark or it's going to fall flat on its face, to be quite honest.
That Auburn game, you look at that, 2 brand-new head coaches, Summerall and Golish, 2 quarterbacks that followed in essentially their coaches. What's the young man for Florida that went there that followed Buster Faulkner from Georgia Tech?
Aaron Philo.
Philo, thank you.
Aaron Philo. Yeah.
And then obviously Byron Brown follows Alex Golish. You're right. Both teams are looking for respect in that game. And that's going to be a 7:00 kick on ESPN at Jordan-Hare. Auburn have already played Baylor and Southern Miss going into that game. That's a really, really interesting one. You said something that's really interesting, and we don't have enough time for this today. We got about 4 minutes left. But I think in the SEC, and this is what the playoff committee is going to have to decide, you have to become accustomed to really good football teams, really good teams, national championship contenders being 9-3 with the way that this conference is.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, Tennessee and Alabama, according to Brett Ciancia, he's got them tied for 7th in the league in his preseason poll for a multitude of reasons. Again, we don't have a ton of time to get into it. And, I talked to him about that a little bit the other day, which, by the way, if Bama finished 7th in the league, that'd be the first time since the Ray Perkins era, like 1984, I think, when they finished 7th in the SEC before division. So it's been a while. But that doesn't disqualify them from the playoffs either. 7th, if Tennessee and Alabama, which, if that comes true, makes the 3rd Saturday in October even more valuable, they could finish the year 9-3, but 7th in the SEC. That's a playoff resume because you're playing a 9-game league schedule. So yeah, I just think that I think you could have you look at South Carolina and Missouri according to Ciancia, right? If they tie for 10th, there is a scenario here where that is a 7-5 or maybe even an 8-4 record, but you're tied for 10th in the league, which is crazy to me.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how the playoff committee kind of starts to view that because, you look at LSU and you look at that closing stretch, and LSU can be really, really good, and they can lose that closing stretch of games to Alabama, to Texas, and I believe there was one other one, Tennessee, I believe. Tennessee. At Tennessee, where Lane Kiffin gets more stuff thrown at him. But, yeah, it's really, and that's to your point. I'm just going back and looking last year because of you make a great point. Last year, Vanderbilt technically finished 1, 2, 3, 4. Vanderbilt finished 6th at 6-2 and 10-3 in the league, and finished 6th, and obviously didn't get out. So I'll be interested. That'll be something that it should be a talking point throughout the season, that an SEC team could indeed suffer 3 losses now with this 9-game schedule. that should not disqualify them from college football playoff contention.
Well, the media has Oklahoma 7th in the league. I think Oklahoma's better than that. Yeah, I mean, they returned basically their entire defense. John Mateer's healthy. Generally, that's a recipe to put you towards the top in this league, at least, and according to whatever media. But if you look at the total number of votes, too, guys, there's a clear separation between Oklahoma and Tennessee at 7 and 8. Tennessee got, from a point standpoint, it's a point system. Tennessee has 1,320 points, Oklahoma with 1,900. You're talking about a difference of 600 points between 7 and 8. So obviously, all the media guys are basically saying, I don't know, Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, A&M, LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma, that's 1 through 7 somehow, and then Tennessee on down is 8 through 16 everywhere else. I guess we're going to find out here pretty soon, but they've got I think it's pretty universal that Arkansas, Mississippi State, Kentucky are 3 teams that are being picked to finish towards the bottom of the league by virtually everybody out there. All 3 are on South Carolina's schedule this year, which means that the Gamecocks need to beat those teams if they want to have a special season.
Jamie, we look forward to speaking with you for a while on Monday, really recapping everything. Thanks for the quick trip over today to offer some thoughts as we wrap it all up. Enjoy the weekend, buddy.
You too. Thank you, man.
Take care. We'll be back. Jersey reveal. How did they get it right? We'll tell you. It's the Halftime Show. Is it red? Is it maroon? Is it garnet? Just win football games. But last night, I guess you'd say the university. I'm not sure how you want to phrase that, whether you'd say Nike or the university. The university put it out. Justin King, who does obviously a phenomenal job, Tyler, the South Carolina puts out a video showing off the new threads, the new swag, the new drip. I don't think we care. It's hard to mess up white, right?
Yeah.
Really hard to screw that one up.
I feel like that's kind of universal.
Okay.
I don't think there's a coded shade of white that they use.
Really?
Oh, you guys haven't been to a paint store lately, have you?
I do what is
I know there's like eggshell and stuff like that.
I was gonna say what is the
Goose feather.
yeah, what's the, I think it's an insurance commercial. I think it's an insurance. I don't know, whatever it is. It's one of my favorites. But
Yeah,
it's
that's good.
growing up, your father turning into your parents, and he says he's got to. Sometimes you just got to let it out, and he tells the girls like there's cotton, there's faded cotton, there's going on off all these random ones. So, but the white, but everybody's been dying to see. Well, what is the garnet going to look like? Is it going to be red? Are we going to be Georgia shiny red? Are we going to be maroonish Alabama? Are we going to be kind of more garnetish Florida State? Well, I thought they nailed it. I thought it looked good. I mean, I don't know what I'm expecting, but I thought it looked good last night. If that is indeed what they're rolling with in 2026, no reason not to think. By the way, the men's soccer team has just released their new Nike kits as well, like literally 49 seconds ago on Twitter. Okay. They look good, too. Good job, Tony Annan. And they got a 31-second video that goes with it. I'm addicted. Anyway, they put out the jerseys, and they kind of teased the black ones, but again, hard to mess up black. But Tyler, last night, got the picture of them. Did you get a chance to see them? Did you want to weigh in on a fashionista tip on this?
I think the thing more people are kind of buzzing about is what was kind of teased at the very end. Did you catch this with the potentially glossy black helmets making a return?
Yeah, I saw that, which is fine. Let's see when they see. But they got number 0. If you haven't seen it, go to at Gamecock Football. What you trying to look at?
I'm pausing it on the part where they got the garnet jersey pulled up.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean,
they got number 0. I mean, it looks. I don't remember. Look, I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember year-to-year jerseys. But there's a black stripe on the shoulder pad on the what do you want to call that? The upper forearm. Not on the shoulder, not above the shoulder,
right?
But kind of on the forearm, a very thick black stripe. I think that looks really good. I think the garnet color, they got it right. I know so many of you have been so worried about this, and I think last night, if you saw it, and if you've looked at it again, you can go to at Gamecock Football, at Gamecock FB. I think you walked out of there going, "Hey, you're all righty."
Yeah.
You didn't screw it up. Nice job.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things that as we get a game or two in the season, you're probably not even going to think about it all that much because it does look so similar to what they have been wearing. And, again, Nike has the ability to make some tweaks as the years go by. Didn't decide to do anything too drastic in year number 1. But, yeah, I think there's plenty of reason to be excited. And I'd like to see that glossy black helmet if that is indeed the tease at the end there.
Remember, part of the contract, Nike said within the next 4 years, they'll do a complete redesign of the uniform. Within the next 4 years, they'll do a complete redesign. So, yeah, what you get right now, you kind of, it is what it is. Just you kind of roll with it. And I think for the most part, you basically say like, all right, they didn't screw up the colors. It's got a nice garnet to it, but I know a lot of you joined me in being a fashionista over the last several weeks since July 1st, as you've all gone to bookstores or Gamecock Traditions, and you've looked at apparel, and then you've gotten worried and concerned. Well, what is the jersey going to look like? What color are they going to use? What exactly are we going to do? And
you know what I wish they would do?
What do you wish they would do?
Instead of Carolina on the front, put Gamecocks on the front.
I mean, you could.
Like the black jerseys have that.
Yeah.
Carolina, everybody's like, that's North Carolina. It is. Put Gamecocks on there.
803-404-6100. Do you agree with Dave? Should they put Gamecocks instead of Carolina? I mean, I prefer Carolina, but Dave, I'm not going to argue with you. I mean, I'm not like, Dave, that's a stupid idea. You've worked too hard this week.
Honestly, I think you just put the logo there. That'd be fine too.
Just a logo in the middle?
Yeah. I don't think you need
Might not be a bad idea.
you need the whole word.
Might be cool. I don't know. All right. Anyway, Robert weighs in and says the volleyball uniforms look great too. With that being said, most of the new merchandise is red. Some of it looks garnet. Well, they got that. Hour 2 on the way. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Ooh, boy, am I thankful for AAA Heating and Air. Roy and Dana Finley, because it's been hot lately, and it's going to continue to be hot through the month of August into September. But you know what? At the Gunner household, nice and cool. Actually, very nice and cool. Quite enjoyable. All because about 5 or 6 years ago, 2021, AAA Heating and Air came out to the house, put a brand new heating and air unit in, a train unit. But what really stood out to me was the professionalism and everything from explaining to me what I was getting to installation to cleanup. All of it stood out, and that's why you need to contact AAA Heating and Air. The professionalism, the customer service. Not only that, they've got these incredible deals going on right now. 15-year parts and labor warranty, guaranteed financing for those of you that worry about your credit, and no payments, no interest for 12 months. Reach out to AAA Heating and Air today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you. Call AAAtoday.com. Dave has officially handed me a sheet of paper here with all kinds of. What did you do? You print off Sherman Williams color chart here, Dave?
Yeah, that's the official colors of University of South Carolina.
PMS 202. Hex
Correct.
73,000A.
Yeah, that's for different things like paint or colors of uniforms and cloth. You know, that's what the codes you use.
You literally painted off the whole thing because you got me a
Well, there's
Atlantic.
accent color.
We need Atlantic on the live stream. I'm showing the live stream. This is what Dave also printed off, a light blue. Don't think that's an accent color, Dave. There is a sandstorm here, and I believe it is the co-pilot who is dying for a sandstorm uniform. And there is a sandstorm color that Dave has given me. Hex. I don't know what matters the most, the CMYK or the hex number.
I believe, I'm going to look it up, I believe for uniforms and stuff, it would be hex number,
Hex
I
number?
think.
Hex number FF 3Fs 2 3 FFF2E3. Huh. That was a lot of ink wasted. All right. Good job, though. Good job. 803-404-6100 text or weighs in. Sorry, Dave. We need to stop conceding Carolina to the folks in Chapel Hill. Just Carolina needs to be on more Carolina sports uniforms. Thank you for that text.
Let them have it.
You going to just let Southern Cal have USC?
No, that's a whole nother thing.
It's a whole other thing. Okay. Yeah, we've been talking first hour. Talked a little bit about the uniform. Jersey reveal last night. Looks good. Happy with that. We can all move forward, live our life accordingly. Now you can have an enjoyable weekend. We talked a little bit with Jamie Bradford as we kind of wrap up SEC Media Day. If you're just tuning in, the SEC Media Day polls are out. We've discussed that a little bit. South Carolina picked 11th in the conference predicted order of finish. What does it mean? Nothing but a big bag of bahuli. Nothing. It means nothing. But the media picked South Carolina 11th. Georgia, Texas, Mississippi, A&M, all 1, 2, 3, 4. LSU, Alabama, Oklahoma, Tennessee, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maybe a little surprised that Missouri and Florida are ahead of South Carolina. Maybe Florida, maybe not Missouri. I have a lot of faith in Eli Drinkowitz that you could put a baby seal back there at quarterback, and he would train him, and Missouri would win 8 games. So I could see Missouri being ahead of South Carolina. So many unknowns at Florida. Hard for me to have them ahead, but I know Florida's a good team. Trevon Ball is going to be a good running back that can carry them. But maybe a little surprised that Florida is at 9. And then Missouri at 10, South Carolina 11, Auburn and Alex Golish at 12, Vanderbilt 13. And as we mentioned, the worst 3 teams in the league are on South Carolina's schedule: Kentucky, Mississippi State, and Arkansas. And for the record, the top 3 teams in the league, only one of them on South Carolina's schedule: Georgia. Now, number 4 is A&M, and number 6 is Oklahoma. But not when you look at it in that context, Tyler. All right, manageable schedule, but I think, truth be told, if I'm surprised at anything of this, and none of it is relevant, none of it's just talking season, and it's just something to kind of talk about. If I'm surprised at anything as it pertains to this predicted order of finish, it is what I would call substantial gap between Florida and South Carolina. Now, again, the way they do this is everybody votes, and there's points you get for votes, and it's the way you get it. And in this situation, that gap is a little over 260 points, give or take.
Yeah.
Give or take a few here. I think it's 261 if I'm doing the math correctly. Little surprised by that. Also, got to admit, Little surprised that they have Mississippi all the way up at 3. I'm not as high on A&M. Now, I didn't vote. I did write this out on my computer in case I voted, in case I got bored. Here is how I have predicted the SEC. I do have Georgia number 1. I thought the Bulldogs were easily number 1. I'm in love with Mike Elko. I'm sorry. I'm driving the bandwagon. I'm driving the bandwagon. I'm letting people on and off the bus. You got to go through me. I got A&M at 2, Bo. I got A&M at 2.
Okay.
I'm a fan. 3, I went Texas. I thought that was a little bit too easy. Texas. I think Texas chokes somewhere along the line. 4, I got Oklahoma. Count me in. John Mateer's back. He looks like Hulk Hogan. I think Brent Venables has got himself a defense. Count me in. Give me the Sooners at number 4. Number 5, I win LSU. And I'm not sure what kind of season they're going to have, but I win LSU.
Okay.
Number 6 on the Gunner SEC predicted order of finish. Well, that's where I put Ole Miss. I put Ole Miss there.
All right.
7. Oh, boy. Look out, world. I got Bama. Number 7. What did Jamie just say? Be the first time since the Ray Perkins era in the early 80s that they finished outside the top 6.
Well, and we know now that if you want to be like a playoff team, you got to be no worse than 4th or 5th probably, because about that's kind of how many teams you can probably get inside the top 12. So, yeah, when you're saying Ole Miss, Alabama are 6th or 7th, that likely means they're on the outside looking in, going to the Citrus Bowl or like West Bowl or whatever, which, again, by the standards of Alabama is unacceptable.
Let's see. What number? I didn't write these. I've got them in order. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 was Alabama. Number 8, again, as I just said, even though Austin Simmons is a brand new quarterback, and I'm not sure I like Eli Drinkowitz, I do like listening to him talk. I got Missouri at number 8.
Okay.
Got Missouri at number 8.
Yeah, I'm a little weary of how healthy Ahmad Hardy's going to be, because from what Drinkwitz said the other day, still some complications from the gunshot wound. And again, when he's at his best, he's legitimately one of the best running backs in all of college football. I just don't quite know if that's what you're going to get this year. And Austin Simmons did have some turnover issues at Ole Miss, so it wouldn't surprise me if they were a good team, but I'm a little lower on them this year.
Let's see. So that's 8 at number 10. Okay, excuse me, at number 9. Now, here's the thing. I've said this when we referred to the schedule, Tyler. I've said this when we referred to the schedule. South Carolina, Tennessee, Florida, throw them in a blender. I think they're about the same team. Mm-hmm. So when I did my poll, I put South Carolina at 9, and that's only because of those 3 teams, they have a returning quarterback.
Okay.
Now, obviously, is it MacArthur? Is it MacArthur for Tennessee?
McIntyre.
Thank you.
McIntyre.
Sorry to Morgan Wallen and Hardy and Luke Bryan, all them who have that MacArthur song. Yeah, he's at least been in the SEC, but again, no experience. And then you got Faison Brandon coming in.
Yeah.
I have them at 10. I like them better. And then I have Florida at 11. Honestly, now, again, the votes would be close, but if you want to mix and match any of those 3 in any spot, I'm fine with 9, 10, 11. I just put South Carolina at 9 because their quarterback comes back. Tennessee and Florida doesn't.
We talk all the time about that blender, right? And the SEC from 6 to 13, 5 to 12, how you want to phrase it, is very wide open, right? Like we know the top contenders, Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and now you can throw A&M in there in the mix. Like the 1 through 5 for the most part is kind of easy to figure out. That middle ground, that middle 6-ish teams in the SEC, I mean, you can go anywhere. You can tell me Florida's number 7. You can tell me Florida's number 12. Same thing with Carolina, Tennessee. Like, there's so much interchanging that happens in that middle ground of the SEC. That becomes the hardest part of something like this to predict.
Let's see. That was 11 had Florida. 12, I go with Clark Lee. literally go with Clark Lee. I go Vanderbilt, but I go with Clark Lee there over Alex Golish at 13 in Auburn. 14 was Kentucky, 15 was Mississippi State, and 16 was Arkansas. So, again, there was the gunner order that I did not submit, but Georgia 1, A&M 2, Texas 3, Oklahoma 4, and LSU 5. I don't know if you've got one you want to – I don't know if you had yours there in terms of what you ended up selecting.
Yeah, mine's actually pretty close to what it ended up being. Let me go and take a look back at what I had, because I did have Georgia number 1, Texas number 2. Let me scroll back through real quick here. Of course, I got to do all these stupid logins, because I think a lot of the top 5 was pretty close to what I had. Yeah, I had Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, A&M, and Alabama, my 1 through 5.
Okay. All right.
So I am pretty high on Ole Miss.
There you go. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in if you want to do so. Texter weighs in and says, is it okay for Shane Beamer to lose to a first-year SEC coach? Yes. Yes, it is. I mean, was it okay for Ryan Day to lose to a second-year Big Ten coach and Kirk Cignetti? Folks, Florida's not a bad football team. If Aaron Philo turns out to be a good quarterback, all these little projections on Florida, look out. They're talented.
Yep.
Like, Billy Napier kind of screwed around and didn't coach very well. Florida is as talented as South Carolina. All right? And so is Tennessee. The Gators and the Vols are both. That now, what it comes down to is coaching, I think. Now, that game's in the Swamp, so maybe you give the slight edge to Tennessee, just like I would give the slight edge to South Carolina against Tennessee coming off a bye and Tennessee coming off the Alabama game. But, no, I never like those questions, because when you ask a question like that, like, what are you mad at? How long has Ryan Day been at Ohio State?
8-9 years now.
And he lost a second-year guy, Kirk Cignetti, in the Big Ten championship?
Yep.
I mean, that would be my question to you.
Let me tell you one first-year head coaching program that I think is being overlooked way too much. That's Kentucky. I had them 9th in my poll. I'm actually pretty high on them.
So Will Stein got to you.
Well, not Will Stein necessarily in what he said, which I did think that was a good quote, but like that roster, they actually did go out and spend a decent amount of money and brought in some really good talent. Now, again, I'm not going to go predict that they're going to go, 9-3 and make the playoff, but like that team winning 7 games, 6-7 games wouldn't shock me. And that looks trickier than I think a lot of people realize in terms of Carolina playing them early in the season.
Look, I've said it. Somebody put something out earlier, and I retweeted it about Carmelo Taylor, the Mississippi State quarterback, who said this. One of the national guys earlier today mentioned how he's flying under the radar. This is Pete Thamel, says the buzz about Mississippi State's Camario. Is it Camario? It's not Camario. Camario Taylor carried over from Manning Academy to SEC Media Days as he's taking over as MSU starter this year. The guy is special, Jeff Lebby told ESPN. I don't think he has a ceiling. The physical traits incredible. Let's see, who the kid is, his consistency and the way he works, the way he prepares, the way he retains, pretty elite. And I'm with you. South Carolina should beat Mississippi State. They should beat Kentucky.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm not going to make an excuse. They should win those games. They should win those 2 particular games. However, I'm with you. You're not going to run out the tunnel and be like, all right, B minus game, C plus game, we'll walk away with this one.
Sure.
You better come to play, or you're going to find yourself down 10, 12 points, 14 points early on and in a hole, and everybody gets a little tight in a certain area.
Yeah, and again, these are 2 offensively minded head coaches, both of them being former offensive coordinators, especially when you're taking on Kentucky, who for over a decade always had a defensive identity. You're taking on a different version of Kentucky now with a more offensive-minded head coach, and again, a very talented roster. So don't put those as guaranteed wins just yet.
Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer had a very, very, I thought, interesting comment. How would you feel, especially if you're Alabama and national championships are the norm, how would you feel if your coach said a national championship wasn't the end-all, be-all to him? I'll let you listen, and we'll discuss when we come back. It's the Halftime Show. Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, the leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry for over 30 years. Being there for you 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. That's right. You can give them a phone call at midnight, at 1 a.m., at 2 a.m., and somebody, an on-call technician, and then somebody will be there to make sure that that leak gets taken care of. So don't wait another moment. Call Mid-State Roofing ahead of time, or when you discover that leak, give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. Mid-State Roofing has a proven history. I mentioned it, over 30 years. That is your assurance that their professionals will provide proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility. And at Mid-State Roofing, they design and install bonded systems with a protective guarantee that, again, keeps your home or your business dry and running long into the future. 803-356-1919. If you got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
I certainly know that that's an important part of what's happened in the program, so I wouldn't doubt that if that's the case. I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on just helping our program be the best and trying to bring out the best and raise the level of everyone around me, from coaching staff to our players, trying to maximize what we're capable every single day.
I get it. And if you were at 92% of the schools across the country, that wouldn't be a comment. But you're at Alabama. Championships are the norm, Tyler. Right now, we're still, for Alabama, we're still in championship or bust era.
Yep.
You can't go around saying you're not worried about it, that it doesn't define your career. I'm sorry, not at Alabama. And if I was an Alabama fan right now, I'd be going, hey, Buddy Rowe, we just paid you we're paying you about $86 million, and we owe 90% of your contract if we fire you. The only thing we do here is win championships. We don't, what you're saying is the norm. We're not the norm.
Yeah, I said this yesterday morning. Jack and I talked about it because there was a question he got asked about being compared to Nick Saban again. And I said, I think it's ridiculous that we're still doing this 3 years in. He's not Nick Saban. He never will be. That being said, Alabama still has the expectation of being of competing for and winning national championships. They're still putting talent in the NFL at a really high clip. Keelan Russell is a 5-star quarterback that's competing for their starting job against Austin Mack, who's been following Kalen DeBoer going all the way back to his Washington days. So the Alabama fan base should still set their expectations really, really high. And yeah, when you're posed the question of, hey, you're thinking about a national championship, yeah, you should be worried about it because that's what you're as a program supposed to do. You were hired to keep that train on the track. Nobody expects you to go out there and win 6 of them like Nick Saban did. That's probably never going to happen again in the history of college football, considering what the landscape of it is today. But still, you got Washington all the way there. You proved that you could do it with less than ideal resources at a school like that. So getting Alabama there should be something that's feasible, and that's why you have this job.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've got Alabama's really an interesting job because there's an evolution that is happening right now in that they are not top dog in NIL. And if you talk to a lot of people, that's one of the big reasons Nick Saban said it's good that, it's no longer about coming and being developed for the NFL. It's no longer about just coming and playing for the university. It's about how much money you're going to make, and he didn't want to deal with it.
Yep.
He didn't want to sit down for those recruiting conversations. So he said, "No, I'm not gonna partake in this anymore." And it looks like he's thoroughly enjoying life, doing whatever it is he does with Miss Terry, and then going on game day and then being there this week. So Alabama, while Alabama is a big time program, it doesn't have all the resources that a Texas or a Texas A&M do, and quite frankly, if you read between the lines, it might not have the financial backing, as crazy as it sounds, as Ole Miss does.
Yeah,
I know y'all go, Bill, that's crazy. No, that it's no. Do some reading, do a little research on this. I don't know where Mississippi's money is coming from, and I want to keep my job, so I'm not going to start speculating. No. But Alabama's financial situation, I mean, they're fine. They aren't poor, but Tyler, they also aren't some of the LSU is
sure.
I would say, would you say the big 3 is LSU, Texas A&M, and Texas?
Yeah, probably. Again, without knowing the exact numbers, that's probably not a bad guess to make. And I think the glaring example for Alabama, because, again, they could not run the ball to save their life last year, so they wanted to go out in the portal and get a splash running back. Well, they had Hollywood Smothers and NC State lined up. He ran for almost 1,000 yards a year ago, and then Texas just came in and pulled the rug out from underneath him, seemingly offering him a lot more money. And instead of going to Alabama, he's now going to go play for Texas. So I think that kind of highlights, for one, even when Saban was there, nobody accused them of having the most NIL, but that Saban discount was still a real thing. Like, hey, you can go play for the greatest coach in the history of this game, get developed, go to the NFL, make a decent amount of money at Alabama, but set yourself up for a better future at the next level. Kalen DeBoer does not have that cachet. So quite literally, these guys are going, I don't care what this program's accomplished before. I don't care about the national championship you won when I was in 5th grade. What can you pay me? If it's not as much as Texas is going to pay me, well, guess what? I'm going to go to Texas. So that really kind of highlighted, like, okay, maybe Alabama isn't as competitive in this NIL space as some people may think. Now, that being said, they have a really good roster. They still have a lot of really good and really talented players that are going to have the opportunity to play at the next level, as Alabama has always had. But them having the best roster in the SEC, like they did for so many years, that's gone. So you're going to have to make do with what you have.
So is this Kalen DeBoer kind of seeing this? And much like I feel like Lane Kiffin is trying to settle his fan base down just this year, like, is this Kalen DeBoer being like, guys, we might have to lower expectations? Because let's be honest, Alabama fans are wild. Right now, this age group of Alabama fans are wildly spoiled.
Sure.
Wildly spoiled. And boy, I wish I were in your shoes. Because they've made it, last year, quite frankly, this is kind of funny, but the way last year ended, I mean, they go to an SEC championship game. That almost seems irrelevant to Alabama, right?
Yeah.
That seems irrelevant. The way it ended with Indiana just curb stomping Alabama in the Rose Bowl. I mean,
Georgia dominated them in the title game, too.
Yeah, but unfortunately, I think they're getting a little used to losing to Georgia. Or those games. No, they beat Georgia last year. They beat them in the regular
season. Yeah.
Okay, but the point being is, like, you can kind of look at the Georgia game and be like, all right, well, Georgia's Georgia. Indiana's the all-time losingest football program in college football history. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see you having your cute little season. That's really neat of you. But we're Alabama. We're big bad Alabama, and then you come in and you get smoked 38-3, and you're like, huh?
Yeah. Do you believe, like, if you gave every single, there's 138 FBS teams now, if you gave every single coach out of the 138, or we can limit this down to the 68 in Power 4, like, truth serum of, like, hey, do you have a national championship roster? How many of them do you think would say yes, like, right now? And do you believe coaches can figure that out before the season gets here?
Yeah, yes, I do. And the answer to LSU has a championship roster.
Sure.
LSU has a championship roster without a doubt, and yet they aren't winning it. If we sometime in the next month do like bold predictions and we put stuff on the line that we got to do in January or something, whatever, LSU ain't winning it. But conceivably, arguably, LSU has the best roster in football, in college football, arguably.
Yeah, arguably.
Texas probably has number two. Mm-hmm. Probably, and I'm going somewhere with this, Ohio State or Georgia 3-4.
Okay. Yeah.
And so you asked that when you say how was your question worded?
Like, and we'll just narrow this down to Kalen DeBoer. If you gave Kalen DeBoer truth serum and said, look at your roster, do you think that roster is capable of winning a national championship? Do you think he would say no?
I think he would say no because of his quarterback situation. We'll keep talking about this. Brad Crawford of CBS and 24/7 Sports due up next. We'll talk with him. It's the Halftime Show.
Well, the good thing is I don't know if I do, because I don't read anything. So it really is a different way of not seeing, like you just said that, and I didn't know that until you said it. And, I guess in that, I hope that some way for future coaches, they're not put in that situation. The NFL, you're never put in that situation because of the calendar and because of the rules of movement within season. So I do hope for future people that's fixed so that you're not in that same predicament for players, for coaches, which really was a player issue too. And then we fixed that with moving the portal date back. That was more of an issue earlier in the postseason too, as you saw players having to leave teams to get into the portal during the season. So hopefully some way they fix it for coaches too.
Those were the wonderful words of Lane Kiffin, Brad Crawford yesterday. And the beginning of that is him being asked if he gets a bad rap, to which he says, I don't know. Was that the biggest BS comment of the entire week?
It's hard to say. I expected more out of Lane Kiffin, to be honest with
Really?
you. I thought he was a little bit boring. But, expectations are huge. I think he's tempered those a little bit. But when you have spent $40 million this offseason on the best roster in college football, so they think, a lot to ask.
Pro move by him for going like 18 minutes on his opening statement to prevent the main room from asking too many questions.
I thought it was a great move. Lane's been to SEC Media Days half a dozen times now. He's a pro at this podium stuff.
I'm being serious when I tell you this, and I brought this up with Terry Ford yesterday. I'm not into conspiracy theories, but I do think that there might have been something there between the commissioner, Lane, and I know it was Craig Boyles who asked I think from the Texas newspaper, asked the first question. I feel like it was designed to not allow them to go down that path, that Lane was like, I can talk for 19, 20 minutes, and then because those sessions are 25 minutes. They end at 25 minutes, whether you got a million questions more or not. I wasn't surprised. Brad. I thought for sure he would stay very quiet, not try to poke the bear. I feel like Lane right now realizes that he's in a different area, a different fan base, maybe than he's ever been, because when he went to Tennessee, expectations weren't all that high. The Southern Cal fan base is not like LSU. Those people in Baton Rouge, they want championships. They want them tomorrow, and I'm not sure he's quite ready for that.
Well, we saw a little bit of a more mature version of Lane Kiffin, at least on the SEC Network said. He was talking about how he's trying to mimic Nick Saban now in everything he does, being the CEO of the program and really the university. He talked about being Saban's OC at Bama, and on a recruiting visit with a tennis player one time, Saban was like in the room with a tennis player, and they were like, what's going on? And Saban just said, look, you're the face of our university. So Lane Kiffin knows that he is that now at LSU. Administration and front office just to afford the roster and this coaching staff. So expectations are big. I don't think they're CFP title or bust the way ESPN likes to say they are, but certainly this LSU team has to make the 12-team bracket.
So a big point of conversation coming away from Kiffin's availability yesterday was him giving up social media on the challenge of his son, which, again, we know Kiffin's been a big troll in there for the past couple of years. But I was listening to Andy Staples and Ari Wasserman of On3 talk about this on their podcast yesterday. And, his prior two head coaching stops at Florida Atlantic and Ole Miss, neither one of those, seemingly power programs, were places that he really had to sell. And he used his Twitter account, social media, to do a lot of that, to make it more, in front of recruits and things like that. Well, now he's at a place like LSU, where the letters LSU sell themselves, national championships, power program, and all that kind of stuff. Does he need the social media stuff as much anymore now that he's at a place like this,
No, I don't
where it
think
was
he does.
maybe more necessary at other places?
I don't think he does, especially, if he goes 11-2 this first season in Baton Rouge. This is a program that recruits itself. Ole Miss, he did not have that luxury, and he can just step inside the homes of people now wearing purple and gold, knowing that, I'm at a program that has won multiple titles in the last couple of decades. The last few coaches there outside of Brian Kelly have all won titles. So I think Lane Kiffin's going to get there with LSU. It's not going to happen in 2026, but within the next 5 years, he's going to have an appearance in the CFP title game.
Let me ask you this real quick, and then I'm going to move on. Who gets to the title game faster, Mike Elko or Lane Kiffin?
I think it's Lane Kiffin. I'm not sold on Texas A&M. I think the Aggies were a little bit better than everybody thought they were last season because of a soft SEC schedule.
Okay.
And then they played two teams in Texas and Miami and got beat.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I don't agree with you on that, but okay, no problem.
I mean, and listen, a 4-8 Gamecock team had a 27-point halftime lead on the road. Texas A&M is not elite.
Yeah, okay. We'll come back. Let's start. I don't want to waste all our time on that. I could debate that because a 4-8 Gamecock team had fourth quarter leads on, or was in the game on 6 of 7 losses, 6 of 8 losses. Alabama. We were debating this prior. We were talking about the Kalen DeBoer comment about national championships not defining his career. Tyler asked the question: does Alabama have a national championship roster still?
I think they do. But Bama's not a team that I am putting in the playoff this season. I think the schedule is tough. I haven't had Bama in the playoff these last 3 seasons, and I'm 1 for 2 in that. But I think with a first-year starting quarterback between Keelan Russell and Austin Mack, and then also the fact that, this offensive line is brand new. 4 new offensive line starters. Alabama has not showed a running game under DeBoer so far. So a lot more questions in Tuscaloosa than answers.
We rounded things out yesterday with Steve Sarkisian, and to no surprise, they're once again voted Texas is in the top 2 of the media poll with them and Georgia. Expected to line up in the SEC championship game once again. Sark 0 for 3 against Kirby Smart. Do you kind of get similar vibes to Kirby trying to chase Nick Saban early in his time at Georgia, where he couldn't seem to get over that hump until the national championship in 21? Or is this just, Texas, likely wins the next time they see each other?
I think it's a matter of time before Texas does beat Georgia. Georgia doesn't have an offense, I think, that really scares you, but they have roughed up Texas at the line of scrimmage. You go back to that game in Austin a couple of years ago. Georgia played really good defensively in that game. Obviously, they played well when that game was in Athens and blew them out by several touchdowns. That's the game, by the way, that kept Texas out of the playoff. I know Steve Sarkisian says if we wouldn't have played Ohio State, blah, blah, blah. You lost to Florida too, but you got blown out by Georgia as well. That's not a good loss, no matter what you say, because of the margin of victory. So matter of time, but Texas is a team too that certainly has the talent to win it all, but the schedule, man, like Ohio State, it is brutal.
Who won this week? Which coach walked out here? I think we've got a small consensus, but in your mind, which coach walked out as the true winner of the media center press conferences?
I would have said Will Stein before Pete Golding came to the mic. I like what Will Stein, his confidence a lot. It was very impressive to me what he's going to be able to do at Kentucky. And I'm going to say that the ceiling's probably like an 8-4 best finish there, but they spent money and they put resources toward everything. So I like Kentucky.
Before we let you out, I know you're traveling back. Obviously, Jeff Lebby.
Yeah, I'm super busy today. My bad.
You're good. You're fine, buddy. I appreciate you taking time. Jeff Lebby was not the belle of the ball yesterday. They had to ask if there was any more questions. But with that being said, I'm becoming more and more just aware of this game. Concerned, Carmelo Taylor, or excuse me, Carmelo Taylor is a dual threat guy that's scary. You look at how close Jeff Lebby was last year to being 6-6 or 7-5. Your thoughts right now on Mississippi State before we get to fall camp?
So a couple months ago, Bill, I put out something that was sort of a what's the trap game for South Carolina. I don't like calling the SEC opener a trap, but it's a game certainly that the Gamecocks have to play well to win that game against Mississippi State. That's a hungry football team. I know a lot of people have pick Mississippi State toward the bottom of the SEC, but they got a lot of starters back. They're very talented in the backfield, and we know South Carolina's defenses at times has had trouble against dual-threat quarterbacks. So that's going to be a game that I think comes down to the fourth quarter. I do have Gamecocks winning, but Mississippi State at Williams-Brice, it still will not be easy.
And before I let you out, have you seen the media polls today? Again, I know you're traveling. Have you had a chance to see what has come out?
I haven't taken a look, but judging by my Twitter account, a lot of people are putting South Carolina like 5 or 6. Where they wind up?
No, they're 11th. They're 11th. They're behind Florida.
Okay.
I was surprised by Florida and Missouri. I had them at 9th. I had Florida and Tennessee just because Sellers coming back and Florida and Tennessee looking for a quarterback. Other than that, you could throw those teams in a hat. Brad, I know you got to get out of here. You're traveling. Please be safe traveling. I always appreciate you making time for us, and we'll look forward to catching up with you sometime in August as we get closer to the start of the season.
Thanks a bunch, man.
Take care. Brad Crawford joining us. We got Brian Edwards coming up in the next hour. That's Brad Crawford. Make sure I don't say Brad Edwards and Brian Crawford. But Brad Crawford joining us there, CBS Sports and 24/7 Sports. He's on the road, so we were able to get a good reception there. Really good for that. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, finish up the hour. Now, a lot to get into, including Arkansas. And I ask again, did Kirk Cignetti ruin it for everybody? We'll hear a little bit from Ryan Silverfield. It's the halftime show.
Yeah, well, I know a lot of donors have pointed to that and said, why don't you just go ahead and flip the program? We expect a national championship in 2 years. That's great. Listen, a lot of credit to what they've done at Indiana, and Coach Signetti is obviously one of the top of the list of coaches. So I give them a lot of credit with what they've done. I think more than anything, rather than point out that example to our players, because it's a whole new roster, and I continue to harp on, like, we got guys that have come from all different backgrounds, right? Whether it's FCS, other SEC schools, ACC schools are coming, transfers from Memphis, and it's staff. So we sit there and we don't look at what occurred in the past at Arkansas, but how do we change the narrative moving forward? And I think it's just a buy-in and a belief. And so from the very day I got there is, how do we get as many people to buy in to the way we're going to do things? And I hope over time, right, you continue. Right, maybe you get 80% buy-in, and then the next year it's 90%. But I think we've been fortunate to have quite a bit of buy-in. I think then we're going to look up and say, okay, man, this program, as I said earlier, is moving in the right direction, and couldn't be pleased with that. It's easy to point out other examples. There's certain things that we can show and teach off of those. But, man, to replicate that would be something special.
It's going to be the norm, isn't it? Is this going to die down with, all right, you're the new coach. If Indiana, the losingest program in all-time history, if Kirk Signetti can come in, I mean, I genuinely, they make lots of money, so I shouldn't feel bad, right?
Sure.
I shouldn't feel bad. But this is going to be the norm. If South Carolina were to get a new coach next year, y'all are going to look at him like you got to win in 2 years. Like, look at why can't you? Indiana did it. They're the losingest program all time.
At least in the short term, right? Like,
that's why I wonder how long this is going to go.
You know, if we go 6 or so years and there's not another, brand new head coach that turns around a program that quickly, will say, okay, well, Signetti was just an anomaly, right? And just happens to be an amazing coach that happened to land at Indiana at the right time and turned everything around. But in the short term, for the next couple of years, everybody's going to be compared to what Signetti did. So I do feel bad for the Alex Golishes, the Ryan Silverfields, guys like that, because you're going to keep facing these questions. And if, none of these coaches now at powerful schools can go up there in front of their fans and say, hey, guys, got to give me some time. Let's be patient. Give me a couple years. Let me get my roster together. Let me, stack some classes on top of each other. They say, no, man, that guy at Indiana did it in 2 years, or really did it in 1 year and got to the playoff. We expect you to do the same thing. So, for the short term, new hires are going to be put up to that exact standard. And, again, almost none of them will be able to meet that, if any of them at all.
Well, and again, to kind of back that point that you just made, I think what is going to drive that stake even deeper into the hearts of new coaches is that it was Indiana. As I said, if it was Georgia Tech, a program with some tradition and winning, Oklahoma State, throw another like kind of middle tier program out there that's seen a tad bit of success that then all of a sudden made that jump, you go, okay, I kind of get it. But it was the losingest all-time college football program here. When Kurt Signetti was hired, I don't know if anybody nationally took notice. It was like, ooh, that's a good hire. That's, maybe the true football pundits, but nobody thought it would happen. So when you have a losing program like that turn in the manner that they have, it is funny. And I think you bring up the other good point. Is that the anomaly? Or because of the portal and everything, is that now the reality of sports that you can flip it indeed in 2 years? Or was that just the anomaly?
I think it's an anomaly, and I think...
I'm starting to think that, too.
Yeah, like, Kurt Signetti is just a really good coach. Like, he had the comment of, Google me, I win, but, like, he did. He won everywhere. James Madison, Elon, like, all the places that he's been, he's won and had a lot of success. So when you look at that, it's like, okay, it's not shocking that he was able to do this, but not every coach is Kurt Signetti. Right? So looking at Ryan Silverfield saying, hey, we expect you to do that exact same thing, probably asking a lot of that guy. Again, I feel sorry for him, and he is getting paid a lot of money, but those are unrealistic expectations. And, could Arkansas be a decent team and win 6 or 7 games this year? Sure. Could they also win 2 or 3 games and be the last team in the SEC as they were voted? Yeah, I believe that as well. So it is unfortunate for those coaches in the next handful of years that are getting hired at new places, because that's the standard you're going to be judged against.
Who do you think has it the worst? It's Arkansas's Arkansas right now, and I don't know why they've never really been able to get to higher ground in the kind of like South Carolina. They've had a good year here, McFadden and Jones, but it's Florida, right? Like John Summerall is the one who they're looking at right now, like, we have way more tradition than Indiana. We have way more resources than Indiana. We have way better players than Indiana. Year 2, you need to be winning an SEC championship and maybe more.
Yeah, again, Spurrier and Urban Meyer set that standard so high, and in the years since, they've been grasping for it. And even coaches like Jim McElwain, who wasn't like phenomenal by any means, still got him to a couple of SEC championship games. So they're doing something right there. Again, Will Muschamp even got him to a Sugar Bowl that one year back in 2012. So it's like all you got to do is be a pretty decent coach. Probably have success here at Florida. But yeah, you're right. I think people look at Florida as kind of a turnkey operation. Like, hey, you get the right guy in here. You get the resources, you get the talent, and you should be able to be on the fast track to winning championships. Again, Summerall won the podium the other day, even though he wanted to throw it at that one guy whose phone went off.
Yeah.
But now he's got to go out there and prove it on the field. But yeah, that seems like out of all the new head coaches in the SEC that could conceivably get something turned around quickly, being at Florida leads you to believe that could happen.
I mean, the crazy thing, you go back, Urban Meyer won a national championship in his second year. Spurrier won the SEC, technically won the SEC, won the SEC in League One, but remember they were probation or whatever.
Yeah.
So it didn't count. And then in year 2, they come back, and they were pretty dominant as well in year 2, going 10-2. Hour 3 on the way. Coming up in the next segment, we will catch up with Brian Edwards of Vegas Insider. We'll look at the ACC. A lot of SEC talk this week, but we'll look at the ACC. A couple of y'all weighing in on the text line. Chris, the norm is what Cristobal did at Miami in year 4 and played for the Natty. I don't disagree with that. That's about 4 years. Mm-hmm. That's about right.
Yeah, at a high-level program like that, that's about the time frame to say, okay, you should have it all together now, all figured out, and you should be, competing for the highest prize.
Yeah, I agree with him. Yeah, that's about the right, about year 4. If you're at one of the better programs in the country that's giving you, and of course, Miami's throwing around NIL money like it's just Fruit Loops. They don't care. They're another one. We talked about it. I mean, I really truthfully, Malachi Tony, Darian Mensah, I know they obviously lost both edges. I'm not sure what I haven't really studied. You got the Phil Steele book. It's all the way down there. Yeah. I'm not sure what exactly Miami's roster is. I know they're going to be good. They're top 10 good. But, I'm not sure where they are at. It looks like they're at the top of the pecking order in the ACC. But that's another one that, just off the top of my head, probably I need to get a book this weekend. It's supposed to rain. I think I'm going to play college football with my son this weekend if he's in town.
Is the game good? I haven't bought it yet.
I had fun last night. Last night was first time now. I had 2 dad moments.
Okay.
I got tagged. Austin just destroyed. He was Southern Cal. We played in the Coliseum, and I was Michigan, and my right tackle gave up 5 sacks, and he didn't blitz.
All right. Oh.
It wasn't.
Yeah, that's bad.
It looked like Lonnie Teasley was running Michigan's offensive line last night. I'm playing Austin in college football 25, and we gave up 10 sacks total.
Okay.
And I'm like halfway through, I'm like, "Are you blitzing?" He's like, "No."
Now, were you sitting back in the pocket for a long time? No,
literally. I mean, it was one of the. If you were watching, it literally was. I was like, dude. This is like I was like, you're just like, if this game is real, Michigan's tackles are awful this year, and Southern Cal's defensive ends are like crazy good. And so anyway, he beat me 34-6 in the first game. So I said, run it back. So I was Oklahoma, and he was Tennessee in the second one. And I had the ball down 10-6 with a chance to go down and score. And I had to go for it on 4th down, didn't convert. And then he had a guy, I was trying to stop him on a 4th down late in the game, get the ball back with a few seconds left, and he hit a long play on me, and he won 17-6.
Was it right tackle or left tackle?
For Michigan?
Yeah.
It was I believe it was the left tackle.
Okay. Andrew Babaloa is rated at 82 overall.
Oh, that would explain.
So, he is I think he's the lowest rated offensive lineman they have.
Trust me. Game's good. I like it. I think I'm going to get me a dynasty going this weekend.
I got to buy it. I think I'm going to try to work my way from the bottom of being like a coordinator at a Sunbelt school and see if I can get to a power program as a head coach.
That's what the games have gotten so intricate that I got to kind of sit down and figure it out for a second.
It takes
when
a while.
You do the dynasty mode.
I'll be honest with you because, again, it was a decade-long layoff between NCAA 14 and College Football 25 when they made it a couple years ago. For the first month, I was not having fun. I could not figure out how to play defense to save my life. I was giving up 50 points a game. Now, I was scoring a lot, but I couldn't stop anybody to save my life. I eventually kind of figured out what I wanted to do defensive scheme-wise that eventually got me better. But, that first month, I was like, I don't know if I have it anymore.
I last night, I had the defense down. Offensively was a different story. But, that was fun. Played with my son last night. And I had a good time, and maybe we'll play some this weekend since we don't have college football. So I did that. But 803-404-6100, if you had a similar experience where your 14-year-old son or your younger son, you feel like you know what you're doing in the old video games, and you get it stuck to you. And all you can do is just put your tail between your legs and wander out of the room and be like, I'm going to bed. Just leave me alone for the night.
Yeah.
So kudos to
the changing of the guard, man.
Kudos to him. Kudos to him. The news, I don't know what to make of this news. I mean, I find it funny. I shouldn't find it funny. Diego Pavia doesn't even make it to training camp, Tyler. He is cut by the Baltimore Ravens. You weren't surprised that he didn't make it to training camp. This didn't surprise you.
Not really. I mean, look, there are certain guys that are college quarterbacks. There are certain guys that are NFL quarterbacks.
I agree with that.
Nothing about Pavia's college game, I felt, because they were running a spread option offense with what's his name, Tim Beck.
Yeah,
the other Tim Beck out there at Vanderbilt, which is a college-centric type of offense, and plays right into the skill set of what Diego Pavia is, which is great, but that doesn't translate to the next level, right? It's like all those years of quarterbacks at Georgia Tech running the triple option, which is very similar. That didn't translate to the NFL unless you're trying to play running back or something like that. I don't doubt if Diego Pavia wanted to switch positions, maybe he could be maybe a decent running back, maybe even a defensive back. I don't know if he's done that before, but him at his size at quarterback probably wasn't going to work out in the NFL.
No, I don't. Listen, I didn't expect him to get through training camp. Remember, with him, they had 5 quarterbacks. Obviously, Lamar Jackson, Tyler Huntley, who has played since the 1980s and has been on just about every team, Skylar Thompson, and then they also signed an undrafted guy from UConn, Joe Fagnato.
The guy that didn't throw an interception for like 11 games last year.
Right. So they had 5. So it wasn't like I expected Diego Pavia to even make it to opening day or anything like that. I thought he'd get to training camp. Now, what has happened is they signed a center. They needed another center. Ethan Posick, I believe is how you say his name, to a 1-year free agent contract, and to make room for him, they basically looked at the quarterback room and was like, we don't need 5 of you, and we don't need the short guy. But you mentioned you thought that in football related, not podcasting related, he might have other opportunities.
Yeah, look, there's other leagues out there. Canadian Football League, they got the spring leagues out there now. If he wants to continue playing football, he can, right? I just don't think the NFL is his future. And I'll go back to when he was in college and, sued a couple times to get remaining eligibility. I completely understood that. I'm like, dude understands his prospects for the next level aren't great. He's got the opportunity to make millions of dollars in college. And I don't know if he's going to set himself up for life, but set himself up for a while at least. Do it, man. I completely understood. And, hey, it worked, and he ended up getting another year of eligibility out of it because he knew his window for making a ton of money in football was coming to a close pretty soon. And I don't even know what you get paid for being in off-season workouts or OTAs with an NFL team. Probably not a whole lot. But, yeah, I mean, if he wants to keep playing football, he's going to have his opportunities. If he wants to take a media type of route, which I think he'd be very good at, he can do that too.
You mean like a podcast route, not like calling?
No,
not like analyzing in studio.
He would need an unfiltered space, like a Bussin' with the Boys type of thing where he can just be himself, right? Because personality-wise, very confident guy, as we saw a lot last year. And, he talked about, hey, our goal is national championship. We're circling the Carolina game and all that kind of stuff, which is very weird here from a Vanderbilt quarterback. But, I think he could thrive in that kind of space. And, look, he's a guy that played college football in the SEC. His insight and knowledge into the game would probably be very good, too. So if he wants to go that route, I think the opportunities are there.
Recently, there was a podcast with, I think it was a podcast, might have been a show, I'm not sure. Tyler was telling me about it, with Steven Garcia, where I believe the F word was used. Did you say 17 times?
Well, it was multiple. There was multiple words mixed in there for a total of 8.
Here's why I say that, because I was like, I bet we could get him on the show. And just, you make a great point about his knowledge, Diego Pavia's, of the SEC. And just look, you can't deny, in terms of being a college football player, how good he was.
Sure.
I don't know if good, but just who he was.
Yeah.
Right? You can't deny who he was. And he's interesting. And as I thought that, as you're saying about the experience he's got, I'm like, I don't know. I don't think Dave would be able to handle the dump button quick enough for Pavia.
Yeah, probably not. Yeah, like I said, he's got to be on more of a space where you're not regulated by the FCC. Because I was like, could he be on one of those, like a big noon kickoff or something like that. And I was like, they already have Dave Portnoy. That's in and of itself something that's a little bit of walking the fine line. But yeah, you give him like a podcast where he can just be himself and say whatever he wants. I think he'd be fine at that. If he wants to go that route, again, I would not be surprised to see him playing for the Birmingham Stallions in the spring league next year. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the route he wants to go for it.
The question is, does football mean something to him? Like, I legitimately, and I'll ask this, and then we'll move on to the other two topics of the day. Does he care that he got cut? Like, do you think, because he kind of strikes me as a guy who, like you said, knows. Now, there's two sides to this. He either knows who he is and what his limitations are and that this was a long shot at the beginning, or he's that dude who thinks, I'm the best quarterback in the NFL. I just y'all screwed up. Y'all screwed up by not drafting me. Sure. I'm the best one.
Yeah, I think he'll keep pursuing it. Right? I don't think he looks at this.
Do you think so?
Yeah, probably, at least for the short term. Because you get cut by one team, your agent works to get you in another camp, and maybe he can find himself into a camp somewhere else that doesn't have as deep of a quarterback room. And I think he's one of those guys that at least wants to find his way onto the field in a game, right? I feel like if he thinks he can get on the field in an actual game, he can prove himself. And if that doesn't happen, then maybe he's like, all right, maybe the NFL's not cut out for me. But we heard him so much last year, that mindset. And look, I completely agree with it. I'm a firm believer that if you go into anything thinking somebody's better than you, you've already lost. Like, he went out there with this just blind confidence of, I'm the best quarterback in college football. I don't care what school I'm at. I don't care how big I am. I'm going to go out there and show everybody. And darn well near almost won the Heisman Trophy because of it. We can't forget that. And I feel like he attacks this NFL journey the same way, which that's fine. I respect that.
803-404-6200. Maybe I shouldn't find that funny. Maybe I should. I don't know. Speaking of funny, the news of the day, LeBron James will head to Philadelphia. So there you go. There's that. We don't need to really discuss that much more than just let you know that for those of you out there that were keeping close tabs on the whole situation, LeBron James has officially made a decision. He'll be going to the city of brotherly love, where Dawn Staley about lost her mind earlier. So kudos, happy for her, and whatever. Great job for all you Philly fans.
You know what? And in celebration of America 250 as well. Yeah. 250 years after the Declaration gets signed at Independence Hall, LeBron commits to the 76ers.
Yeah. So there you go. Other news of the day: South Carolina finishes 11th. In the 11th in the voting for preseason SEC Media Day. I think they should be. I would have had them slightly higher. I thought it. I really. And the only reason, because I think South Carolina, Tennessee, and Florida are all in the same boat. Maybe you can throw Missouri in there as well. You can probably throw Missouri in there.
Yeah. Again, it's that like blender in the middle of the SEC. That 5-12, 6-13, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'd say I got to go back and look real quick. I would say depends on where you want to put Alabama.
Yeah,
it depends on where you want to put Alabama. I would feel like the top 6 are pretty solid: Georgia, Texas, Mississippi, A&M, LSU, and Oklahoma. After that, where do you want to go with Alabama? Are they closer to that group, or are they closer to Tennessee, Florida, Missouri, and South Carolina?
So it's kind of like 3 tiers, right? You have your playoff teams, which are, again, kind of 1 through 4, 1 through 5, and a 12-team playoff. You have your fringe teams, which, that's going to be 5, 6, 7, something along those lines. And then after that, you just have the wide-open middle ground where teams could be anywhere from 4-8 to 8-4, or maybe even 9-3. And that's kind of what we've gotten in the SEC for a long time now.
803-404-6100. We come back. Brian Edwards will join us. We'll look at some ACC over-under win totals for the season and get his ACC preview. Talked a lot of SEC this week. We'll look at the ACC just a tad. You're listening to the Halftime Show. Well, we've talked all week about the about the SEC. Why not get into the SEC? Good Lord. We've talked all week about the SEC. Why not get into the ACC? Just a tad. Joining us now to give us the breakdown. We're getting closer and closer, Brian. 42 actual days from today, we'll be having you on to actually look at Thursday or Friday to actually talk about the games that you were starting to like for opening weekend.
Yes, sir. We're getting close. I already got a couple of those. We can get back to them in a few weeks, but I'm going to lay the points with LSU. I like SMU as a short favorite at FSU, and I haven't looked lately, but as long as that Ole Miss number is 7 or fewer, I'll probably be on the Rebels against Louisville in Nashville.
All right. I think I might actually – I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that one right now. I told somebody the other day, if Mississippi's looking ahead to LSU, look out. Louisville's got a new quarterback, but I like Jeff Brom. Let's, by the way, Brian Edwards, VegasInsider.com and MajorWager.com. Make sure it's part of your daily reading, especially as we get closer to football season. Brian, let's look at the ACC. Just recently you were able to do your kind of ACC preview. Now, let's be clear about this. There isn't a lot of over-under win totals, as you told me that you're a fan of, but let's start with a couple teams and just get your assessment and why you maybe are just not crazy about them. And let's start with the team here in our state, Clemson. What exactly is their win total, and how do you feel about it?
Well, I think that the demise of Clemson was pretty evident last year. Dabo has just been so silly, foolish, stubborn, whatever you want to call it, in, not attacking the portal the way – I mean, he got 11 transfers this year. That was a career high by far. Maybe he's finally coming around just a little bit, but, he's not doing it enough. They've got inexperience at QB. With all that said, so their win total 7.5, or at least back on June 24th when I wrote it down on my Phil Steele map. It was 7.5 over -130, under +106. I marked them 5-1 with 6 swing games, but at Cal on a short week, very dangerous. I could see them losing that game. Miami at home, they're a 7-point dog. They'd probably lose that game, so that would be 5-3. Virginia Tech at home, I'll give them that one 6-3. At FSU's got 2 weeks to prepare. Clemson doesn't. Clemson, I believe, is -1.5 at DraftKings in games of the year. I mean, that's a legit swing game. I don't know which way that one will go. At Syracuse, could be tough. I know Syracuse had a horrible season, but they were 3-1 with a win at Clemson when their quarterback got injured and they didn't win the rest of the year. And they were They won 10 games the year before that. So Fran Brown's been great when he's got a healthy quarterback. So who knows on that one. And then South Carolina at home, where Clemson's a 3-point favorite. I lean South Carolina in that one. So, I think Clemson probably wins 7, maybe 8. But that's not, that's not what their standard is, and that's not good. So I think they're going to continue to fall until he starts attacking the portal and getting 20 players, each year and getting good guys that needs.
Brian, it's not surprising that Miami is, the top of the win total in the ACC. I mean, is there anybody else that's close to them, or is this just Miami's league to run away with? Do you think anybody else can really give them a run for their money this year?
Maybe SMU. SMU doesn't have to play them, so they could get to the ACC championship game, and maybe they would have a little something for them. But look, if the Louisville QB situation, and we haven't really seen much of Keel's play at all, really. I mean, he's got 250 career passing yards. And has been, spot duty at garbage time at Ohio State. We'll see how he turns out. Look, if he's really, really good with the running backs they have and outstanding head coach and Jeff, so maybe Louisville or SMU might have something for him. We'll see. And look, let's be honest, Miami finds a way to lose road games during the regular season that they shouldn't lose. Whether they'll do that this year or not, I kind of think they won't. I think Mensah's maybe a little bit of an upgrade from Carson Beck. I mean, they lost a lot off that defense, but they are by far the class of the ACC. I've got them marked 10-0, 2 swing games. I've got the swing games being at Notre Dame, and my other one is at Clemson. And so we'll see. But if there's a win total to take in the ACC, maybe it's over 10.5 on Miami at a -124 price. At least on July 13th, it was -124. But I'm not saying I'm playing that.
He is Brian Edwards joining us again. Check out MajorWager.com and, of course, Vegas Insider for all his great work. Let's go to brand new coach James Franklin. A lot of excitement in Blacksburg, Virginia Tech. They might have a team. They might not. I don't know. Win total set at 6.5. As you've studied the Hokies for James Franklin's first year, what do you see and what do you just opinion? It's not a pick, but an opinion on that 6.5.
Yeah, I got them going 5-3 with 4 swing games. I just haven't seen Grunkmeyer play much. He hasn't, played a lot. I mean, he got in there after Aller's injury last year, and played pretty good. We'll see. I think he'll be pretty good. So, anywho, 5-3 with 4 swing games. The swing games being Pitt at home on a short week. I like Pitt's roster a little better, but it's a short week on the road. So, I mean, that's a legit swing game. I also marked the Georgia Tech game at home a swing game, but I would lean Vatech there. I've got Clemson a swing game where I would lean Clemson there. And, they got to play at Miami later in the year as a 16.5-point dog. They're a 1.5-point home favorite to Virginia. That's another swing game. So it's a pass for me. I mean, I think they win probably 6 or 7. I think it's a good, season win total at 6.5.
Looking at Georgia Tech, a lot of places have their projected win total at about 6.5. Significantly different from a year ago. Obviously, they lose Haynes King, they lose Buster Faulkner as the OC, and a lot of pieces on offense. Are you expecting this kind of being a reset year for Georgia Tech, or do you think they can still compete towards the top of the ACC?
That's a great question. I just love Brent Key. They did lose a lot. So, but look, maybe Mendoza's going to be pretty good. And I love the running back they got in Justice Haynes from Michigan, who's going to be one of the best, if not the best, running backs in the ACC. But, man, they lost a lot at receiver. Pretty good in the portal. They got 3 4-stars out of the 19 transfers. But I do kind of think it's going to be a reset year. I got them 5-3 with 4 swing games. One of them being at Stanford. They should win that, but you never know when you go out west. And then I've got a swing game at Pitt, but I definitely lean Pitt there. And then Louisville at home. Because it's at home, they'll have a chance there. And then at Clemson being the other swing game. I think they probably win 7. And win total 6.5. At plus money on the over. I would slightly lean to the over, but I'm not saying I'm playing it. They got a lot of question marks.
Let's look. Sometimes you can find value by looking at the very bottom. Boston College, I thought Bill O'Brien would do better. They've struggled. This year, their win total is just 3.5. Now, their schedule, aside from playing Maine, is loaded with Power 4 teams. Cincinnati, Rutgers in there to go along with Maine. 3.5. Do you take the chance and think that they can slip by a couple teams to get to 4?
I think they're going to be horrible.
Oh, boy.
I think they're going to be horrible. I think O'Brien's going to get fired. And I'll just leave it at that since I know we're low on time, Gunnar. But I do want to go to Syracuse. I know I mentioned them a minute ago.
Go ahead.
If I were to play an over with anybody at the bottom of the league, I think I'd go over 4.5 with Syracuse. Yeah, Fran Brown went 10-3 in year 1 after, they had a losing season the year before. And then he's 3-1 with a win at Clemson in his pocket. But Angeli was leading the nation in passing yards versus ACL. Okay, he's back. Now, they did lose a lot of their wide receiver talent, and a lot of it went to Ole Miss, fortunately for them. But Fran Brown can coach, and the schedule's got a lot of winnables on here, man. Obviously, New Hampshire at UConn, which is in total rebuild after Mora left. You're going to win at Boston College, I think.
Cal's got. I know Cal's scary, but they got to come to the Loud House or whatever in week 2.
Yes, and that's a winnable game. At North Carolina is a very winnable game. All they got to do is get to 5. And I know they've got a lot of their tough games at home, but they're tough games. But at least they're at home. Out of SMU, Clemson, and Louisville, if Angeli's healthy and playing really well, I mean, they can steal one of those. They're not going to steal the Notre Dame game because Notre Dame is nasty and number 1 in my power rankings. By the way, I'll send those to you, and we can. I forget if we evaluated those yet, and we can do that maybe next week. But over 4.5 on Syracuse, I'm okay with.
Brian, always appreciate it, buddy, man. Have a great weekend. Thank you for taking time to do a little ACC preview, and we'll catch up with you next week to go over those power rankings.
Thanks, gentlemen. Y'all have a great weekend. I'll talk to you soon.
Take care. We'll come back after this break. Thank you to all our guests today, from Jamie Bradford to Brad Crawford to right then Brian Edwards, as we have covered everything thoroughly coming off of SEC Media Day. And again, let me thank all our producers and Tyler Head, everybody who got us through the week. We've got, what do you guys suspect? Over 250?
Somewhere in that neighborhood, probably. And shout out to Dave, because he did a lot of the heavy lifting when it came to cutting that. Because, if you've ever been on Media Row, Digital Drive, whatever we call it, the internet is not good there. And I feasibly could not do a whole lot while sitting there doing multiple shows. It wasn't until that I actually got done with my shows that I could really dive into doing everything. So Dave did a lot of the heavy lifting on that. So thanks, Dave. I appreciate you.
803-404-6100. That is how you can text in. And right now, send us a text and you can win yourself two. Well, we got two, so we're going to give away two family 4-packs of tickets for Saturdays. Text in Fireflies, and we'll have two winners right now. Send in a text, 803-404-6100, two family 4-packs of tickets for tomorrow. Send in the code word Fireflies, and the winner will have Jeannie get in touch with you, get your information, and we'll get you the tickets. But if you want a pair of tickets to the Fireflies on Saturday, well, guess what? You can win them right now. Two family 4-packs we are giving away. Text in the keyword Fireflies, 803-404-6100, and win yourself a family 4-pack. We got two of them. So you got two chances to win.
Also, tomorrow night is Dino Night.
Okay.
As they are taking on the Kannapolis Cannonballers.
The Kannapolis Cannonball. Well, of course. Why not? So, yeah, go over to, what does Dino Night include?
I'm assuming something dinosaur-related.
All righty. Wear your dinosaur pajamas.
If you are a big Jurassic Park fan or anything dinosaur-related, tomorrow night's going to be your night.
There you go. All right. Send that in now and win yourself some Firefly tickets. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. Earlier this week, Shane Beamer talked, of course, and in the big room, one of the things he did was give an overview of the team. Now, Shane is always very positive, so you know it's going to be a positive review. But let's go back on Tuesday afternoon to what Shane had to say. Here's him talking about the overview of his team.
We got the same players that you picked us high for last year. They're back this year, and they're a year older, which excites me. I like the freshmen that we've brought in. It's a very mature freshman class. I like the transfers that we've brought in. Winners. We've got 7 new transfers that have either won a national championship or participated in the college football playoff at their previous school. So we've got guys that are used to winning, and they're very mature. You look at us offensively, got a new offensive coordinator in Kendall Briles, new offensive line coach in Randy Clements, and a new running backs coach and associate head coach in Stan Drayton. Those guys are proven coaches and recruiters that have made us better already. A core group of returning players and some experienced transfers that have come in. We've obviously got to be more efficient and more consistent on offense than what we've been. Defensively, it's year 6 in this system with Clayton White, our defensive coordinator, who doesn't get enough credit for how good he is at what he does. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the entire nation. Year 6 with him. We've got to continue to be opportunistic. Since 2021, when we got to Columbia, we lead the SEC in takeaways defensively. We've got to continue to be that aggressive, opportunistic group. We've got a good mix of returners and youth in the back 7, and then we've certainly added to our depth along the defensive line. New special teams coordinator in Matthew Smiley, who's been a good addition to our program, will continue to be aggressive there. We lead the SEC in block kicks since I've been the head coach at South Carolina. So defensively and special teams, we've got to continue to be aggressive, and we will be in all facets of special teams.
A lot of positives there. He does make a point, about a lot of these guys are back that were picked last year a lot higher. Mm-hmm. Here's a question for you. How close is South Carolina to consistently winning 8 games? Let's baby step this thing. I'm not asking for playoff berths or anything, but South Carolina's never been a true a true upper echelon team. They're working to be that. How close? Because I can hear some of that in his voice, and I start to think about it. I think they're pretty close,
Mm-hmm.
but they can't get over the inconsistency and some dumb losses and some shooting of the foot that occurs on occasion.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those things that, like, and again, for the millionth time, we'll say they weren't far off from winning several more games last year, which would have potentially put them in the 6 to 7 win mark. So in that way, you say, okay, well, they're close. If they just kind of clean up a few things, can learn to score in the fourth quarter again, and they'll be all right. But you're right. This is a thing that's gone so back and forth as we go into year number 6 now. Good year, bad year. Good year, bad year. You at some point become what you are. Right, where it's like, all right, well, every other year Beamer's going to probably be pretty good, and every even year he's going to take a dip and miss a bowl game or whatever. I hope that's not the case, but if that continues, if he has a good year this year and a down year in 2027, you may just have to accept the fact that that is who he is for whatever reason as a head coach. But to the point of your question, I don't think they're that far off. And we think the changes they've made in the offseason, both personnel-wise as well as, player-wise, that's going to help them close that gap. Now, you still got to go out there and do it, and you're going to have another tough schedule, a bunch of really good teams, but them winning 8 games doesn't seem inconceivable to me. Now, doing it consistently every single year is a different story, but I think for this year of getting back on track, I think it's very possible.
Everything is technically kind of the butterfly effect, if you will, and so who knows if going 6-6 changes a decision by Lenore Sellers or what it does. But I think it's very conceivable that last year South Carolina should have been 6-6. They should have won the Alabama game. The Texas A&M game is a total and complete choke job. Choke job.
In no world should you lose that game.
Right. And again, I don't care how good A&M is. You shouldn't have lost that game. Alabama might be even worse because you were at home.
Yeah.
Like
what?
And if you go back to that Alabama game, South Carolina's up. Kind of in control of that game with about 7 minutes to go.
Mm-hmm.
So, the bottom line on that is that might actually be, as crazy as it sounds, might have been a bigger choke job or at least very comparable because, again, you score to take an 8-point lead with 10 minutes to go and then promptly somehow in the final 2 minutes and 16 seconds give up 2 touchdowns.
I also think they still should have gone for 2 there, but that's besides the point.
Wildly, yeah. Anyway, so the point is that was also a choke job. Now, not making that being 6-6 doesn't mean we're sitting here pounding our chest and going, "Oh, this team's one step away from the college football playoff or the national championship." But I will say 6-6 in a bowl game, I don't care what it is a lot better than 4-8. To an extent of everybody not being completely set on fire.
Yeah, if they went 6-6 last year and, I don't know, made the well, I know we always use the Birmingham Bowl as the low-end example, but let's say they made the Birmingham Bowl against whoever. We're not having conversation about, oh, man, Beamer's seat is among the hottest in college football. We say, okay, they took a little bit of a step back after a really strong year in 24. Let's see if 25 can be or 26 can be a step back in the right direction. But when you lose 4 games and miss a bowl game, then you enter into the hot seat conversation, which Beamer's on.
803-404-6100 if you hear something that intrigues you and wants to weigh in. Thank you for those of you who text in on the tickets. We've got some winners there.
Yep, send your name, number, and email, and we'll get those tickets to you.
Yes, and you should have gotten a response via text to do that, so send that stuff in. 803-404-6100 again, if there's something you want to weigh in on the final segment of the show. We'll wrap it all up for the week when we come back. It's the Halftime Show. wrapping it up on what's been a fun week. Great to start talking football again. Now, unfortunately, we got to go several weeks without football. Without, major football. We've got, if you want to, let's just look real quick. Let's just glance at the Canadian Football League in case you're like, man, I've gotten into it. I've gotten the bug. I'm fired up. Let's go. I got no idea. Oh, yep, tonight, Calgary. The Stampeders and the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It is on TV somewhere. And then for those of you that need a football fix, tomorrow it is the Argonauts and the Lions. I don't know. I don't know who those are. Actually, there was a year that I actually did indeed really get into the CFL. Beyond what I needed to do. Let's just say that. I went down a path. I sought help for it, and I got myself cleared of loving the CFL. But there was a year I got completely into the CFL. So if you want to get into it tonight, you do have some football at 8:30.
Do you have a team? You Argonauts, Blue Bombers?
I couldn't quite figure it out. I mean, I figured out that I knew the game, but I couldn't quite figure out a team.
It is funny to watch the CFL because of the differences of the rules, the way the field's laid out. And I'm like, oh, this is similar but different. I'm just
quickly scanning the Blue Bombers roster for any names that you would be like, oh, wow, that's interesting.
Is Chad Kelly still in the CFL? Didn't he win a Grey Cup a year or two ago?
There's a Jake Kelly. I'm not going to scan all the teams. I'm not sure. Because, occasionally a South Carolina player will pop up on there. And you're like, that's interesting. Let me see here. Let me go back one more time. And so there's nobody from South Carolina, or nobody, I hate to say it, you got to be a real, fan of college football to recognize some of those names that I just saw. And then Calgary has somebody from it must be a Canadian college, Wilfrid Laurer. That's the first I've ever heard. Let's just glance real quick. Somebody that might intrigue you that you might say, hey, I'll tune in to watch that guy. I'm guessing Tyelk McAllister from Charleston is not our Charleston, given that I'm completely unaware they would have had a football team.
There's a Charleston in West Virginia. Yeah, that may be. Oh, also Chad Kelly is still a quarterback for the Toronto Argonauts.
Oh, you can watch him tomorrow night then.
So Swag Kelly is still doing it.
So you can watch him tomorrow night. Nobody by the way.
Still wearing his hat at stupid angles.
Nobody on who am I looking at? Calgary that you would recognize either tonight, by the way. So, all right, but if you want some football, if you need some, 8:30 tonight, Calgary and Winnipeg. Get into that. There you go. Final thoughts from the week, Tyler. We've heard all the coaches.
Yep.
What were the final? Now that you've heard the coaches, now that talking season, I guess it's not officially over until Shea Beamer holds his media press conference within the next 2 weeks. But we are at the very end. We've wrapped it up. We're wrapping it up. And what are your final thoughts now after hearing everything this week and being in Tampa?
It was a lot of fun. Again, it was a long drive down there. I drove the equivalent of a NASCAR race.
Excellent.
Going there and coming back, almost 500 miles. But, being down there was great. I thought, again, the facility, the venue there at the Marriott, right on the water, it was beautiful. Got to do some cool stuff, in the evening time with all the other media people. So that was a lot of fun. I always appreciate free beer.
Did you go to Raymond James?
We did not. So that was the last night. But it was like a shuttle thing, and none of us were interested in doing that. I could see Raymond James kind of from the interstate when we were driving down there, but didn't get to go out there and check out the stadium. But it was a lot of fun. Like I said, I feel like we got more quips from coaches this year compared to the last couple of years, where I feel like there hasn't been as many talking points to come away from. So it is nice to see a little injection of personality back into the SEC with some of these coaches that, the Summeralls and guys like that aren't afraid to hold back, which is nice to see. Again, is it ever going to compare to what we had years ago? Probably not, but this week was a lot of fun, and I think we got some good content out of it.
I don't know about that. I think that we might have a new age of coaches who are willing to kind of run their mouth and talk a little bit. Will Stein, let him win 7 or 8 games and think he's building something. Shane Beamer's not afraid to talk. John Summerall's not afraid to talk. Pete Golding is not afraid to talk. Lane Kiffin is afraid to talk. Some of these, Tyler, I don't know if I look back now. You've run through the old guard, if you will, the Wright, the Ricks, the Fulmers, the Spurriers, all the old guard that really lasted the SEC from the mid-'90s through about the 2010s, somewhere in that area. And now you're on to what I would say is truly the new guard. 6 new coaches in the league. Silverfield actually yesterday wasn't bad either. He's telling people about how hot his wife is.
Yeah, Aura, man. Yeah, he doesn't know what Aura is, but he thinks he has it.
So
I appreciate it. Don't be a stick in the mud. Be interesting.
We might have SEC Media Day might have gotten some fire back. Tyler, thanks to you, buddy.
Yep.
You were down there. Dave, awesome work this week. Thank you so much, Dave, and thank you to y'all for listening. See you next week.
It's all right here for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialists. Tell you about it all the time, but I'll remind you once again, you always need to be on the lookout. Things around your home that are a little bit off. Things like cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in and above windows and door frames, doors or windows that might be sticking, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. If you notice any of these problems with your home, you could have serious foundation issues. And that's where our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist come in. Go online to cantycanfixit.com to schedule your appointment and let a professional at Canty Foundation Specialist come out and check out your home's foundation issues, get them fixed, and your family can live worry-free going forward. Do not hesitate. These issues will only continue to get worse. Go online to cantycanfixit.com. Let our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist help you out with your home's foundation needs.